All right, everyone, we are back with season 32, War 1. Today we're dealing with unstoppable armor, and we will be for the rest of the season. However, we still only have the attack tactic power down, which doesn't really help too much for this global. As a reminder, this is not a full breakdown planning video, it is just an abstract. And go ahead and thank your officers and your leaders for the work and time they put in for planning a war. So first thing we're going to do is take a look at what unstoppable armor is. Every 10 seconds, the defender will trigger a 3-second armor up buff, granting 0 armor rating. Whenever the defender triggers an armor up buff, 30% chance to trigger unstoppable, passive for 3 seconds. The unstoppable is unaffected by ability accuracy, and when the defender is unstoppable, they are stun immune. So today we have Ghost, Quake, and a Tigra ban. So a little bit different than last season. We were seeing Human Torch quite a bit, but here we have Quake and Tigra. First off, boss here, we have Super Scroll, probably a Symbiote Supreme or Sorcerer Supreme as your go-to options, maybe even Claire with a PS1 and playing it slow until you get buff immunity up. And then I'm sure with Mystic Boosts and the immunities, she would just be spamming SP3 or SP2 constantly. You just have to look out for the window between buff immunity and an armor up, triggering unstoppable, because she will not have any way of dealing with the unstoppable besides waiting it out. And Super Scroll can build quite a few armor ups if you're hitting him without the buff immunity up. Sorcerer Supreme here got easier, no high ground, so Mr. Negative, Mr. Fantastic, S99, Archangel, plenty of options. Magic, if you don't have any of those available at a high rank. Bishop here, I'm sure Nimrod works. I'm sure War Machine works. Corvus is going to work if you can ramp him up, probably 1 or 2 charges. So here it's just avoiding having him use SP1. Man Thing here, probably Rolk first, and then any other poison immunes that don't have a lot of debuffs. So maybe Warlock, you can get away with that in the power drain if there's willpower. You could probably even maybe get away with S99 or Mr. Negative, but it could get very interesting. Luckily, his special attacks are easy to outrange or dodge, so there's not any block damage there with that. Rolk here, I mean, Fury is probably the easiest. You can just play around the unstoppable armor since he has no natural armor up buffs. And then maybe Magneto or Human Torch without the pre-fight, and just slow play it around the unstoppable, his own unstoppable, and the nodes or the globals unstoppable. Annihilus here, Magneto's probably my first thought. I heard return policy gets triggered with armor break, at least against Cosmic Ghost Rider, but he could be an option. Could probably even use Claire with a bunch of Mystic Boosts. Here I'm not quite sure, to be honest. Not too many that can deal with unstoppable that are both Incinerate and poison immune. So maybe CMM and Nuke It, maybe Apocalypse with Incinerate. You probably use Mole Man or Kingpin there with Hood. Kingpin for sure, actually. And then Human Torch here. I mean, that's the benefit of this new global and Human Torch not being banned, is that you have Human Torch available for a lot of these easy to kill mystics. So Human Torch here would be the first go-to, and then maybe Doom or Claire as backups. Section 2, Nimrod here, I'd probably go with Nebula and shut everything down, get to those 5 shock charges, and then wait until you're ready to drop SP2 to maybe use it. I'm not sure the interaction when you get rid of the shocks and then throw SP2. Path 1, pretty easy here. Anyone like Warlock or Falcon for Hulk there, and then Magneto or any of your, like Void, any of your power heal reducers for Infinity War, Iron Man. Apocalypse for that path 2, pretty straightforward. And then I've seen Nebula work for Colossus here. You can probably even use Claire with the PS1 and be pretty safe for that fight. So looking at Fury here, probably Apocalypse or Archangel. Maybe get an Odin pre-fight in there to save yourself from the shock damage, because this fight could take a little bit, but he doesn't have as much health here as he does with a regular mini boss node. So it should go down a lot quicker, a lot smoother. Killmonger here, I mean, you got your usuals with the Mighty Charge and Ebb and Flow Intercept, which are Namor. You've got Omega Red, Path 4 here, Doom, Kingpin, you know, Mole Man probably works too, so less stress there with Nova. Path 5 there, probably Magneto for MODOK. If not, you got Mole Man and you got Killmonger, and then a science champ that deals with mystics pretty well, so Human Torch, S99, Mr. Negative for Chavez, and then Path 6 here, you can probably use Nimrod, Magic, Doom for the first one for Apocalypse, and then maybe even use Doom for Jabari, or have a White Magneto pre-fight, or, you know, do well with their heavy dash back and dashing back in, and use Cable or Apocalypse for Jabari. And then Mole Man here on Footloose, I'd probably go with Apocalypse still and just play around the global. You got to work his SP1 so that you don't get cornered, and then probably don't let him use SP2. Or you can push him into frenzy intentionally and then finally use slow with any of your slow options. But that would require a champion with a lot of debuffs or a lot of parrying, which isn't ideal with kinetic transference. So maybe Storm or Bishop would actually work pretty well there too. Venom here, I'd probably go with Claire or Doom to start off. Maybe even Symbiote or Sorcerer Supreme. Lean in a little more Sorcerer Supreme between those two because of the slow, and that way you don't have to take a bunch of blocked hits against the wall while he's unstoppable. You can hit into his block instead. Path 7 there, nothing to worry about. You know, Fury, Archangel, Mole Man, Kingpin. Path 8, same thing. You probably use Doom, Claire, really anyone. And then Path 9 out here, you could probably actually snag some Corvus charges there. You'd use Magneto for Hemdall if you don't want to use Corvus, and then use Silver Centurion for Havoc, or even make Havoc a horseman and take the whole thing and just like nuke both down. Just watch Hemdall's armor up buffs that pop up based on you hitting him. At least there's a count up timer for that, so you know when they're coming outside of the global. And then here, Doom, you can use Apocalypse, you can use Kingpin, or sorry, don't use Kingpin, use Mole Man. Yeah, so plenty of options here. You could probably even use, I would suggest Mr. Fantastic pre-fight there. Mordo here, you saw me take it with Killmonger, but you can use Mole Man, you can use Archangel and Human Torch. And then Korg here, you got Namor, you got Apocalypse, and you've got Omega Red. All three don't rely on buffs, so it's just paying attention to power snack and power from backup recovery. Sasquatch here, probably a Human Torch fight. You're going to want an Odin pre-fight, and you're going to want a White Magneto pre-fight. The global armor up is going to affect shock. So if it doesn't trigger Unstoppable and you're hitting him with the armor up from the global, you're going to get shocked. So you're going to want an Odin pre-fight for the shock resistance, so that you don't have to waste any time for that armor up to expire. Trying to think if there's really, Archangel probably works pretty well too. Path 1 here, nothing special. You've got Claire or Human Torch for the White Magneto, and then you can use Human Torch or Claire or Doom or Magneto for G99. And then Path 2 is a straight Human Torch fight. You're gonna rip that whole path pretty easily with him. I mean, you have your other options, but those would probably be my first, like a Science like a Void or an S99 for Maw, and then using Warlock for Professor X. And then CGR here, you could use Doom, you could use Magneto, you could use Claire. Penny, you could use Venom, you could use Venom Pool, you could even use Magneto. So nothing too problematic here. Just watch the bubble shield and hopefully don't push her to SP2 when it's close to 10. Path 1 there, you could probably get away with Kingpin or Mole Man, or you could go with Doom and slow play Iceman. Path 5, probably send a Corvus and build up some more charges, but your other options are Magneto and then Apocalypse. And then Path 6 here, I-Bomb, you know, any poison immune, and just watch the prowess. So Warlock, Vision, really any of them. Void here, CMM and Mole Man. Well, not Mole Man. CMM and Rolk would be your first two. We've actually seen Kingpin do pretty well here. If you get to SP1, the weakness from the degen debuff from his SP1 actually reduces the damage you take. But you're going to want to keep it up, so it's spamming SP1 the whole fight. That way you reduce the damage on the debuffs that you already have. Path 7 here, you can take it full thing with Namor, or you could do Falcon for Electro and then CGR. For Terrax, Path 8, nothing really special. You could use Archangel, you could use Cable with Apocalypse, you could for Surfer, and you could use Doom or Claire and just be mindful of the armor ups. And then Venom Pool, CGR for, you could actually CGR the whole thing for Warlock. And then Path 9 out here, probably get away with Falcon versus Ultron, maybe even Nebula, but you won't do much damage with Nebula. And then you could use Warlock for Domino, or you can do Captain Marvel for maybe the whole thing. Probably still bring a Warlock for Domino though, or a Poison Immune Tech, so like Nimrod. But that's the end of the first war planning video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will catch you guys at War Attack.